T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Midheaven Podcast. My name is Candice Marie. This is my host.
The Peace Dealer. It's Mercury and Hades back at your favorite podcast. This is your favorite. Look at me. This is your favorite podcast now.
We're the captain now, bitches.
Yes. This is number one, and then the other podcasts are next. I had to wait till we were a certain number of episodes. Now we could talk our shit.
Yeah, we hit 30 recently, so the big 30. So we're definitely making moves. We're through our Saturn's return of the podcast. I kind of feel like that too, actually.
Right.
Yeah, it feels like finally we're like, okay, with the setup and scheduling and
Going
timing,
like a progress
and
chart.
As long as Mike doesn't get COVID again, we're good.
Technically, I learned today, a study by Bloomberg published that apparently...
I heard about this.
Right,
the best thing is to have gotten it.
Recovering from COVID is more effective than a Pfizer shot. So far, that's been compiled. So that's interesting. I think they meant from one of the earlier waves, but...
I'm still convinced I had it in 2019, but...
Right.
Yeah, I did it first.
That's interesting. But yeah, I don't think I'll get it again. I'm gonna keep moving powerfully and strong, and I'm just kind of grateful to finally be in Virgo season where, you know, thankfully, like we been saying, the data, and this isn't about this side versus this side, it's just more so the facts that have been compiled are showing narratives from all sides not adding up.
And the oppositions to Neptune, which is the media, which is what we think we know about health and wellness on both sides. So it's interesting to see this happen. As we're filming, we have yet to see the Sun-Neptune opposition. That's like the final aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, that and the impending Pisces full moon, which is going to be a shit show.
You should research Rand Paul.
Okay.
Capricorn Sun, Gemini Moon. He has Neptune in Scorpio, and he's been calling out Fauci for creating the virus and gain of function. Apparently, recently they found out that the documents do prove that what he said in a hearing was untruthful, and so apparently he might have lied under oath. And Fauci has a Scorpio moon, and so it's like you see Rand Paul using his Neptune to pull out the... Of course, Fauci's denying it, and I'm not really here to say who's right or wrong, just the fact that this is happening. I just like that whole, like...
Well, in that video you sent me earlier, it was really interesting. It was, like, super... It just literally using the media, you know, date for date and kind of being like, this is what they said, this is what they changed, this is what they said, this is what they changed. And equally also reusing photos of things from a year ago, like suggesting somehow, like, there is this, like, new pending, like, crisis and that... People are outside standing in lines and waiting for things, and just I think the whole wave of the information that's about to hit, also equally about like the booster shot, which is what I've been like researching, is, you know, it's being seen as something, at least in other parts of the world, is that you're not fully vaccinated until you've had the booster, and that's not like a thing here in the States yet. So I'm kind of waiting to see like how that plays out for us.
Right. And just to speak on as far as like what's being reported versus just the changes and whatnot, because we can't argue that this is bad. I mean, we could still go off the whole strength that these things are going to change because it's still, you know, developing. But just so that we have on record these changes are happening, you want to really keep that in mind moving forward, especially with all these crazy current events that
there's some crazy shit that's been happening. I mean, you guys saw the video that we did where we were like, by the time you're watching this, like the shit's hitting the fan. And then that whole like week, it was like all the Taliban stuff that was going on in the Middle East. So kind of like piecing some stuff together, I guess really we start with what's been happening. I want to start with the lockdowns, because we've heard from a lot of people. We've had some followers, and I've had some clients and people from other countries sending me messages, sending me independent media being like, are you aware this is going on? It's safe to say that here in America, we've been so bombarded with what's been going on with the Taliban stuff, the refugee things, you know, COVID, also, like, what else has been going on that's been, you know, all the abortion stuff, we'll get into that we have seemed to enter into this void where, once again, we've come into a new cycle where we're very disconnected with what's happening in the world.
Right.
So one of the big things is somebody sent me all kinds of videos of protests going on in Australia and also in Germany and also in France, where they basically are under lockdown. Apparently in France, it's like you can't even go out and go grocery shopping without having your vaccine passport.
Nigeria too, they just said that.
Yeah.
You can't worship or you can't like trade or do anything without a vaccine.
Yeah, without having your passport. And then in Australia, it's like some of the strictest, craziest lockdowns yet. People can't even really leave their home. Like, people are having to go to borders and having to like apparently file to have like a friendship if you are a single person and you're not partnered. And you have to have proof that you and that other person are vaccinated. You have to be within a certain distance of each other, and then you have to meet in a designated place. I mean, I saw videos of I think the most recent holiday where you see like people that are reaching over these big orange barriers and they're hugging each other because they can't actually be in the same vicinity. I don't know what the deal with that is, but between that and having to actually like file to be able to see something if you're see somebody or visit with somebody if you're a single person, the fact that lots of Australians are claiming that they can't even get some groceries delivered to their home, and there's like massive issues with being able to leave and go out, you know, into public. It's just kind of like crazy to me.
The delivery reminds me of Rutgers, a student in Rutgers. I don't think it was Harvard. Maybe it was Rutgers. It was some university where he can't do online classes unless he's vaxxed, which is interesting. And I really don't want to make this too much about that. And just to, you know, give you my personal stance, I had to take like the Tdap. Like, I went to Nigeria 2015, and when I came back, I had to actually get like a vaccine to go back to college, and I did. I got I got vaccinated. I went back to school. So I see what's happening now is not new at all. Just being taken to another level, because it's never happened.
And that's the thing, and that's what I liked about some of the videos, and the video that you sent me is like, I'm not anti-vax. You know, I'm not anti-vax. I've been vaccinated with things that I needed to be able to go to school and go to college. However, I am anti just like giving up my health and my body to big pharma and not understanding like what's going on. And to me, it seems weird. Like, you know, like my partner brought up recently, like, man, like it kind of sucks for those people who didn't get the Pfizer vaccine, because Pfizer ended up being the only one that was FDA approved.
FDA approved, right?
And then there's people who were like educators and people who their jobs were on the line.
My
they had to get
Team Moderna,
vaccinated, and it's not even approved.
Right.
Recently, I saw, and this is real. I saw the article. I read it. I think it's like the ex-president of Pfizer, and he weighs both sides, so it's interesting to read it. He was basically saying, he came out and he asked, is it safe for us to be trusting the FDA if a large percentage of their funding is actually coming from pharmaceutical companies, big pharma? Think about that. So, you know, their salaries are on the line. This guy used to work for Pfizer. He comes out and says, is it really smart for this to be happening? And it just so happens that Pfizer is the only vaccine that ends up getting FDA approval.
Which is interesting.
It's weird. It's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird. It does raise concerns. It's still developing. And that's what really now, you know, brings us to this whole abortion topic, because these are two topics where people feel very extremely about what
I can just like feel, I'm in a room full of men right now, so you know, let's
I have to be careful with what I say.
I mean, here's what I find interesting. You've got Texas, which has from the beginning of the pandemic has been like, fuck you, not my body, not wearing a mask, my choice. And you've got all these people running around doing that. But you've got men who have never, ever had to use a tampon, never had to get an abortion, never had to use birth control, telling women what they can and cannot do with their bodies. That's fucking beyond me. That I can't understand. And several miles south of Texas in the border, in the glorious country of Mexico, who is the second largest Catholic country in the world. Hold on, I need my mic for this. Okay, seriously, officially no longer considers it criminal or punishable to get an abortion.
What?
In Mexico.
In Mexico?
Yeah, in Mexico.
That's interesting.
Because Mexico, which has fought this forever, okay, let's just be realistic. It doesn't matter where you live if you try to shut down abortion.
Texas
it's not going to stop abortions.
This is after they did the vaccine passport mandates, where they don't mandate it, followed up with abortion.
And then you follow up with abortion, and not just any abortion, but it stops it at 6 weeks.
6 weeks,
so
right?
most women are finding out when they're 4 to 6 weeks pregnant that they're pregnant, and at that point in time, you don't have enough time to do anything. And equally also, there's a bunch of like blurry lines going on, not just within Texas, but in other states about rape and whether or not you can actually get an abortion if you've been raped, and
which you probably will not be
whether or not you actually need to have like a sign off or an okay from a father or from a marital partner. Like, what the fuck? It's the same as getting...
It's so fascinating to me because...
OBGYNs are doing this also with getting your tubes tied, like, you know, deciding whether or not you can have IUDs removed, apparently. There's all kinds of stuff that's coming up, and I think this is all, like, Venus having been in a square to Pluto recently.
This is the reason why this is so fascinating to me now versus before in my 20s when I'd hear this and you were limited in how you can talk about it. But now what certain things I've noticed, which when you take something so extreme like this and extreme feelings get welled up and then people have past experiences, you know what I mean? Like the arguments and the understanding is so different. So unfortunately, I might have to shut you down a little bit because, you know, and I love bringing this up because, you know, stats matter until they don't matter. And, you know...
You're going to talk about the small percentage of people who are...
people always love to bring the whole, like, well, rape is just 1%.
Well, but you have to understand...
There's unreported rates.
There's a
stuff
lot
that's
of
not...
a lot of unreported
My
rape.
point wasn't to really, like defend the stat, right? But, like, personally, when you bring up the stat, there's all this, like, welled up resistance. Even though the researchers who researched... They know that there's unreported rates. Like they bring these into play, but it's not really because there are ways people can use that stat to just dismiss people's experiences and like it gets too heady. But the thing that's very misleading about this argument is that a bunch of men are telling women what to do with their body when that's actually not what's happening at all. At some level, it's influenced, you could say, but it's actually men and women. I feel like that's not spoken enough about. There's a lot of, especially like when I actually shared that stat, several women messaged me. They didn't comment because they knew what would happen. They messaged me, thank you for sharing that. Because I think what's very, when you bring this argument up, it's always men versus women, but the women who are pro-life, the women who actually are against abortion, I feel like they don't exist. Like they're not really spoken about.
They're there, and I think that there's something to be said about the fact that there's no coincidence that there is more pro-choice in some of the more liberal, you know, states like California versus the Deep South, where you know you have to go to state lines and you have to go and get it. There are tons of conservative, Republican, pro-life women out there, so it's not a man versus woman thing. So I agree with you on that. That's not what this is. However, men who are out there basically saying that they feel the need to be influencing, you know, what laws we're passing because of their beliefs. Or, for example, recently in the White House, you saw the clip, it's been out there everywhere, where a reporter was asking the White House correspondent, you know, what does Biden think about this? And she says, well, Biden believes that, you know, women, you know, choose best because of their bodies, whatever, and kind of keeps pushing it back. And then he says, well, who's going to represent, you know, the unborn children? And coming at it clearly from a very kind of religious, conservative, and that has a tendency to be a lot of the people who are partaking in, you know, the pro-life movement, which is, well, you know, their souls and the unborn babies and all of this stuff. I just feel like, you know, Venus being in the square to Pluto right now, and Venus, when it's in Libra, is very fair, very diplomatic. You know, there's no drama, there's nothing
versus
like
the Pluto
that.
Intensity, that's
but
like
when
decision.
Venus comes into square with Pluto, okay, and then Venus is about to ingress into Scorpio, which is like dark goddess, doesn't give a fuck, and then opposes Uranus and square Saturn.
Well, you're already starting to see rebellion.
You're going to see angry feminists out there threatening to... I gotta be careful.
2 years ago,
like blow things up. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's already happening. So 2 years ago or a year ago, and I'm so glad you mentioned this, I picked up this like conflict. I like intuitively picked up, oh my gosh, there's going to be a war against men and women. And at some point it's going to like trigger women saying, we're not going to have sex with men anymore. And it's already starting to trigger where they're doing this, oh, well, until the Texas laws repealed, women, I didn't think it would be abortion that would be the trigger.
I've heard that. I've heard about that.
I mean, hopefully it doesn't escalate like that.
But it's more than that. Recently, like, I've seen, I can't remember her name, but there's an actress who came out and said, I turned down a movie that was shooting in Texas that I really loved the story, I loved the script, but I turned it down because it's shot in Texas. So it's not just sex.
Wow.
It's Venus, it's business, it's partnerships.
That's wild. That's gonna
and in the square to Pluto, Mercury will come up to these same degrees, and it will also square. So in the months ahead, too. Oh yeah, and then it's the same degrees at the end of the year with the Venus retrograde. In the months ahead, we are going to see major shifts legally and with legislation, and like a lot of people pushing back on what is and is not legal. Obviously, a lot of people know, the Supreme Court didn't want to get involved. They upheld whatever they passed
did. They were not trying to get no smoke, and that's the thing. Like,
that woman who Trump...
She did that after, right? The actress?
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the female Supreme Court justice. Her name escapes me, probably because I don't give two fucks about that woman.
Trump did what?
The woman who Trump brought in as the Supreme Court justice, she basically... A lot of women feel like she didn't back women up. That's the
thing, like... And that's the thing. The misleading thing is that this is a war against women. And it's just such huge miscommunication.
War against ignorance.
Well, this is the thing, like, especially for men and women, because it's not just men saying this. Men and women who are pro-life, the argument is always twisted into it suddenly being about what women can do with their body. So let me just say right off the bat, I believe that women and men should have autonomy over their body. Like, you shouldn't tell men or women what to do with their body. But you have one side that's not saying, hey, you shouldn't do this with your body. It's, hey, you have life in your body. So I'm not arguing for or against this, just explaining.
I think women get so sensitive because...
Well, yeah. And then some women have been raped too. So like, imagine being told that you have to do whatever.
Women are basically being put in a situation, and it's been like this since the beginning of time, where it's like, don't run off and get an abortion because you're a whore. But then at the same time, it's like, well, you got to be there, and you got to be able to like make men happy and pleasure men.
But I would think in a more often case, and this isn't spoken about because it's always spoken that women are the one that want an abortion. I think in more often cases, the woman wants the child. It's the man pressuring her to get the abortion. So like, there's that side too. You never hear about that.
Or the woman that gets the abortion because of the lack of support or financial support.
Or pressuring. You feel me? So I don't want to act like, I'm taking like either side. It's unfortunate because it's a huge miscommunication. Like, you have a side that isn't trying to control what women do with their body. They want to preserve life. And then you have another side who takes that to mean that's happening. So personally, what I realized this year was that I was wrong about what I thought I could or can't say, because for so long I was made to feel like I have a penis. Like, I don't have ovaries, I have a penis. I don't have an opinion on this debate until I realized as a man, I can get pregnant. And so I do have an opinion on this. It's like a newfound power that I didn't realize that I had. So, technically it's transphobic if you say that. Like, I can't really say anything about this, but, I just like the whole flaring up of this during the square.
It's gonna get nasty though, because you think about, like I said, it's within the same cardinal degrees of where Venus will go retrograde later this year in Capricorn. That's gonna bring up a lot of
this. A huge social movement.
You have a point. It's not about men versus women. I think that women are finally fed up. I think we're sick of being in a situation where we're being told to just swallow birth control pills and do all of these things, and we do all of this stuff for our bodies to prevent pregnancy, but nobody's talking about men going and fucking, having vasectomies. Nobody wants to talk about that. We want to feed men porn, and we want to give them Viagra so they can continue to fuck. Men can get an insane amount of people pregnant daily, weekly, whatever, versus how often a woman can get pregnant monthly. A woman can get pregnant 2 to 3 days. She's pregnant for 9 months. Usually that's no more than like 1 baby a year, give or take, if you get pregnant right after. Men can just keep impregnating people, but we're not educating men about them taking action. Instead, it's men being like, well, we're here to receive pleasure, this, that, and the other, and a lot of men don't want to talk about that. But women are realizing that we can't fight fire with fire. And if men do have such a prominent place right now in society, unfortunately, then we need to be working with them and doing things to work with them and working with the energy of Libra to basically encourage our husbands, brothers, fathers, whoever, our friends, our male friends, to step up and go, I support women. I know they're going to make the right choice. I stand behind them. And that's how you defeat the Venus-Pluto square, is unity.
It's a little bit misleading because even with that analogy, women are the ones that go to abortion clinics, not men. Even though men get so many people pregnant,
A lot of men go with women, but
a lot of men pressure women.
But men,
a lot of men go with women because they want the
woman.
woman to do it, and the woman doesn't want to do it. Like, I feel like that's not really spoken about. So it's like men and women for abortion versus men and women against abortion. It's just when you set it up like that, it really sounds like some war against women when it's not about people, saying women can't choose. It's about preserving a life. I also do agree that, it's no one's business why a woman's getting an abortion, but it's just interesting how stats get thrown out the window. What I don't understand is two things. How are you going to be pro-life, but when in reality, a lot of these people are seeking abortions because they financially can't take care of a kid, psychologically can't take care of a kid. They're not ready. Statistically speaking, a lot of people get abortions because they just don't want the kid. Yeah, they can do all that. They just don't want the kid. But do you not think it's smart if you know that either psychologically, emotionally, physically, financially, if you know you can't provide a good life for a child, then you make the decision, which is really challenging and painful and psychologically has a lot of hang-ups for people, to say, I can't do this. I'm choosing not to bring this child into this world. Rather than throwing them into the system and letting them spiral out and live in poverty or off of food stamps or not have a supportive home life. But that's the thing, like, it's not really smart to assume that because you don't know that. And it's like more so, I think a child would rather be struggling or unwanted than be dead. So you're kind of making the choice for them. I'm gonna agree to disagree with you on that one. And you don't know that they will struggle. We don't. And so that's the thing. But at the end of the day, I don't want to say this and undermine that. Women are the one giving birth. So it's not as simple as just saying like, oh, just give it up for adoption or just figure it out. But these are the things that go into why most men and women are gonna want life to be preserved. That just doesn't seem pro-life to me, that you would want the kid to be born knowing that the kid is not going to have what it needs to thrive. But you don't know it's not gonna have what it needs. But if you're a woman who's living beneath a certain economic class, if you can't provide for yourself, let's say especially women, women who are, barely getting by in this last year because of what's going on economically and with the pandemic, don't have consistent work, that doesn't have health care, gets pregnant, may not have a supportive partner, they're pretty sure going into that situation that there's going to be a struggle being able to provide for that kid. No, there will be a struggle. I mean, my parents struggled raising me, but then they made it work. The only thing is like struggle and the prospect, because you don't know they're going to struggle, but the prospect of struggle does not supersede death. And that's just my opinion, as well as many people who choose pro-life. Like, it's still way better to be born in those conditions than to rob that baby the choice. I think the bigger issue beyond this is the fact that people are still looking at abortion as something that's not health care. That's the problem. They're looking at it as, oh, it's a simple fix, it's a solution. They're still coming at it from like a moral standpoint of that it's wrong. But the reality is men don't have a problem with women taking birth control or Plan Bs or using, like, what is it, the spermicidal like lubes or condoms or anything like that. So why would this be looked at as anything that's different? Yeah, a lot of people say I've heard the question, what's the difference between a Plan B or an abortion? Simple. There's no baby for a Plan B. You're literally pregnant. That's not true. I know people who have taken Plan B and they've gotten pregnant. That's not true. Well, no. That means it didn't work. So no, what I meant by that is when you use the Plan B or when you use the contraceptives, this is before a baby is born. Versus an abortion, there's already life. So that's the main difference. Like, you're actually killing something or ending its life versus prevention. But there's also the abortion pill that people can take when they're within a certain period of time, where they can take a pill that will actually induce a miscarriage after they're pregnant, which you can actually, I think, usually take within the first 2 months of being pregnant. But if we were educating men and people about this stuff, then we would know. But see, this is the thing, and it's both men and women's fault. Sexual discipline. Like, if people actually if people took sex seriously instead of some casual thing, this is a baby making, life making thing. If people took it way more serious, and that's not women's fault, that's not men's fault, it's both of their fault.
I feel like if you're not potentially responsible enough or capable or willing to step up and take care of a child, then you probably shouldn't be having unprotected sex.
Exactly.
It's that simple. This is preventable, but
it's that simple.
We need to be doing more to talk about it.
But it's the woman that has to deal with it, and that for sure. I mean, they have to y'all have to give birth. Y'all are the ones that. So it's very reasonable to want to have the choice to, not have to deal or support or do that.
This is just so interesting because when we did the America chart, remember we did the solar return, and the solar return sun, which is traditionally America's 8th house, now lands in the 5th. And one of the things we talked about was reproductive rights is going to be an issue.
She did.
Women, whether or not babies are being born, whether or not we see a change in birth, numbers or like whatever, and taking the 8th house and moving it into the 5th, which is literally reproductive rights and whether or not abortion is going to continue. And this is the opposition to Mercury.
The real question is, what states are going to follow Texas?
Well, isn't Texas a Capricorn state?
I didn't know that.
I think it is. I could be wrong. Let me know.
That
I think
might
it
what
is.
leads to it getting bigger if Tennessee's like, oh, we're going to do what Texas did.
I just think it's wild that not even several miles south of the Texas border, you have Mexico, which is obviously notorious for just... I mean, the fact that they're
Catholicism doesn't play that, so you would never think that would happen. So now,
finally, after years of this, Mexico is now basically decriminalizing, and it's no longer a punishable offense to be able to get an abortion, which is fucking huge for that country. And I feel like we, in a lot of ways, in the States, are so far behind a lot of other countries, which are doing more for like postpartum or post-birth pregnancy leave or whatever, or maternity leave, having time off, being able to recover, being able to spend time with the kids, the benefits, all that stuff, which parts of Europe have been doing for some time. They've been doing this. So it's not just about reproductive rights. It's also about how that affects men and women. But women, the topic is about women psychologically, emotionally, financially. And so I think a lot needs to shift, especially if we're going into a direction in this country where they're really trying to make abortion laws stricter and harder to be able to get abortions. Like, the laws aren't going to stop abortions from happening. The same way, drug trafficking charges is not going to stop people from selling really and trading drugs.
Wants to do it. Or they could just leave the state and go somewhere where they want to. But I'm sure that's not as easy. But yeah.
One thing I did want to talk about, just to kind of pivot back really quick, is, and I can't remember which country it was, but I want to talk about Australia's chart a little bit because I wanted your 2 cents on it. But also some big news that happened recently, coming off of a big crypto bounce that happened in this last week. I can't remember which country it was. I want to say, where was it? El Salvador went big in buying like a ton of cryptocurrency, a ton of Bitcoin, and they are, I think, officially the first country to completely adopt that as a currency. So that's big, that's huge. That's a big shift that's going on.
That happened during Virgo season?
That happened a couple days ago.
Wow, so that's the trine of Uranus.
They went big on that. Hold on, I'm getting some information here. Ukraine has also legalized Bitcoin as well recently. So huge shifts going on with that. That's another indication.
We know Virgo is social next to Libra, which is paralegal in law. So it's like extending forth the Uranus.
Venus in a cardinal sign, squaring Pluto. Yeah. It's challenging the structures of power and control. And Pluto is money.
Yeah.
And wealth and control of wealth and assets.
And Libra is social commentary, social themes. That's why I was actually grateful to see like the abortion debate pop up and all this drama popping up, because it's laying the stage for Libra season, which is going to be
laying the stage for Venus. I mean, here's the thing. I spoke about this on my channel recently. In a couple days, Venus is going to go in Scorpio and will come into an opposition with Uranus. So lots of shakeups with relationships, finances, values. And Venus, when it's in a Mars-ruled sign, or in this case, a Pluto-ruled sign, is like a hellraiser in Scorpio. Coming into opposition with Uranus in a square to Saturn is going to challenge the systems and disrupt the systems. And I think you're going to see just a lot of really angry feminists, and you're going to see a different side of Venus. Yeah. Then Venus is going to go into Sag briefly, hang out there, come into conjunction with the South Node, do her thing. But then in November, Venus will move into Capricorn, and we'll be in Capricorn because of the retrograde for 4 months. And we'll be close to Pluto for several weeks.
Yeah.
And we'll also go through, back and forth through Pluto several times. And there'll be a Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. So all of this stuff is
coming out of Aquarius, right?
Reborn.
Yeah.
Coming out of Aquarius and into Capricorn. It's all being reborn. Like, the astrology basically from, let's say, December of 2021 through about March of 2022 is when all hell breaks loose. So the way that I see this is like, this is going to be a long haul. It's going to be months of us reworking the systems of how much the government has involvement with our health and wellness, especially reproductive health, our money, what control they have over our money, our values, how that's all changing. So it's going to get a little wild, but it's interesting to hear about these countries that are really getting online. Also, I've been just seeing all kinds of stuff because I watch a lot of sports. A lot of like, crypto exchanges and stuff that are now coming in and trying to get more so involved. If you watch baseball and you see all the umps, they've got like a logo for like a crypto exchange on their shirt, or what is it? FTX, that's the company. And now they're like trying to buy rights or whatever to like name like college stadiums and like other things.
Wow.
So they're moving in, and there's definitely like a big back and forth that's going on right now, I guess, with Coinbase and whether or not they can come up with their own controlled currency or like their own like stable coin of sorts. I don't know.
Wow.
Okay, so Australia, I want to ask you about this because of these crazy lockdowns. There's a handful of Australian charts out there. I guess like one could be when they settled, one can be when they actually had their independence, one could be, although I think there is still some connection. Are they still connected with England?
Right now,
Yeah.
Australia? Like they're a colony or a Commonwealth
are
of England
they?
or something? That's
I
a
think
good question.
I don't know. Maybe not. But this is the chart that I think that makes the most sense. It's the January
from
1st.
astro.com.
1901 in Melbourne at 1:25 p.m. 21 degrees Aries rising, Sun and Saturn in Capricorn in the 9th, and moon that is in Taurus.
MC and Cap. That's very authoritarian for sure.
I can't help but look at what's going on with Pluto's conjunction to their midheaven right now, and that is smack dab in the middle of where all of this craziness is going to happen.
Extreme control.
Apparently,
and authority.
like all their businesses have been closed. I mean, people can't go like out. They can't like just like go shopping. They can't just like go and do those things. And
death to the economy there.
That's like Mercury's Pluto. I mean, America's Pluto.
America's
Pluto is that same degree. So
it is.
in that video of the guy that you sent me, he was like, he did a bunch of interviews with
Shout out
people.
to Anomaly.
Yeah.
Dreamer.
He did a bunch of interviews with people from Australia, getting an insight as to what's going on.
Yeah.
And the guy kept saying, we need America. Like, we need you. Like, we need you guys to stand up. Like, you guys are still free. Like, we're not free here. Like, we need your assistance. And it's like, we've heard a lot of this about that coming out of, like, Europe, of course, like bits and parts of Europe, which apparently you also, it's harder to get around without a vaccine passport, apparently. But Australia is kind of like wild. Like, what do you make of this? What do you make of what's going to happen? Especially considering their north node is 29 of Scorpio. So their south node is 29 of Taurus.
Oh my God, that's a ticking time bomb.
A reverse nodal return.
Yup.
There's an eclipse coming, conjunct those degrees.
So that confirms what I was going to say, that it's all meant to happen, but what were you going to say?
Part of me wonders if what's going on in the world right now is that the governments are like trying not to spook people.
Yeah.
And that they know that there is not only a looming economic crisis coming, but that there is a looming food shortage coming, and that they're doing this to start kind of, I don't know,
that I would believe
shutting down
that,
the hatches and getting everything safe and secure, so they know that people can't like come in, and like focusing on being able to stabilize and being able to provide for their own particular countries.
Absolutely, and it's all part of a global reset. So I mean, seeing Capricorn and C, and I don't mean the reset in some like weird conspiracy way. I would just say, like, you've heard some people kind of speak out and be like, this is a great opportunity to provide economic reset, align with crypto and everything. So we're seeing Australia clearly be a leader. But seeing that 29
a leader, you think so?
I didn't say they're a good leader, but like actually leading forth with like protocol.
I don't know because I don't live there, but there was some shit they said on that video. They were saying there's all these camps that are popping up. That they're putting all these
and that's what I mean. Australia's being a leader, and the rest of the world is watching.
What kind of camps are they building? Are aliens coming? Like, what's about to happen? Like, I'm starting to really think we're really in the Matrix.
Yeah.
And that part of what's going on is that there are people that are breaking through and starting to realize that like this is all a simulation and like we're basically just slaves to fucking capitalism and we're just here to just shovel fast food and buy things and live in our house and continue to be stuck. And I think they're realizing that
soon you'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
I don't know. It's like, why do they have camps?
I mean, we'll find out. The only thing
look at my hands. I can't work. I'm not a working woman.
Will the camps even be like publicized on television? Will people even know?
We're not hearing about this shit in America.
But here's the thing. So we know that they have 29-degree South Node Taurus. And now my attitude towards everything that's happening is you can be an activist, but you also have to expect within an apocalypse cycle, all of this has to happen. That's the other thing. Like, have your individual perception, view, and beliefs, but also accept that everything you're saying has to happen. Like, these things that you don't have to bend over and take it, but you have to accept that what's happening around you has been written in the stars, is meant to happen, and has to happen
29 degrees
in order for the new to come through. It is. So there's like it's a culmination climax point.
But do you not see that as almost like communism?
Well, here's my prediction. Once the North Node crosses that point and we step there, you're gonna see revolts. You're gonna see like there's already protests in Australia, but that's gonna be like we're revolting. And then that'll I think it'll get squashed and pressed down, but that's going to also be very important because this is all seeds for revolution and more conflict coming into the rest of the year. It doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to be crazy.
Their natal Venus at 10 of Sag conjunct Uranus at 14 degrees of Sag. And so if there's one thing I know about like the Aussies, like they don't really like live on like credit and debt and stuff like we do. Like it's just like they seem to be pretty okay, stable financially. Like definitely like they know what they're doing. But that Venus Uranus makes me wonder with the South Node going through there, are they trying to prevent there from being some upending going on with their financial stability? Like are they afraid of crypto? Are they afraid of people, going in a different direction and them not having some kind of control because of the eclipses in the South Node?
And I'm glad you brought up afraid because Saturn is fear. And so a lot of what we see in that country right now is fear. Fear evoking, fear mandates. And that's the thing where they're the leader. We still don't know exactly how far the long term of what they're doing is. And the rest of the world is watching Australia to see if it's working.
They do have Jupiter in exact opposition pretty much to their Neptune. Jupiter in Sag in opposition to Neptune in Gemini. So, I mean, I look at the transiting Neptune squares and what's going to happen there. I feel like Venus going retrograde, Pluto conjunct their midheaven, all of that going on over their sun is whether or not they are going to allow their media to even get out of the country, if they're going to start shutting it down.
So no, it's hidden.
That's some spooky shit.
It is. It's super spooky.
And their moon's at 20 of Taurus. So the South Node's coming for their moon.
Yep.
Fuck.
It's going to be interesting to watch Australia for sure. And it's interesting, like the way things look now, I don't want to frame that they're screwed or anything because there's still so many variables that are uncontrolled and that we don't know. So everything that you hear me saying, once again, I don't want to frame it that this is bad, it's good. It has to happen.
Change is inevitable.
It has to happen the way it's happening.
Like a lot of these things are predestined. Like whether you believe in astrology or not, there's something to it when astrologers talk about like particular degrees or angles or, in Vedic, like nakshatras, like whatever, like, and that there are certain symbols or omens that you look for. Those omens are those connections and those conversations that you're having with those planets so that you know that they're speaking. There's no coincidence that we've had all of these oppositions to Neptune and we've had flooding.
Yeah.
Right? That's all omens and kind of echoes from Neptune. So The crazy stuff has yet to come. I want to like wrap this episode up with some more positive and like something a little bit more lighthearted. So
we told you so, by the way, just in advance before she mentions it.
Get my mic out for this. I want to know about Kanye and fucking Drake.
Let's go. Scorpio.
Can you tell me
Gemini.
all about your... There you go.
Thank you. So, first of all, we just want to say we told you so.
We talked about this. We talked about this episodes ago about the impending beef. The same way I talked about the messy divorce with Kim and Kanye.
Yeah. A couple people messaged us like, hey, you guys were talking about Kanye was going to go off in his new album about the divorce and everything, which he did. So
did you listen to both of them?
I listened to both of them. First of all, I didn't want to listen to any of them. I wanted to wait till the hype died down and then listen to it. But I ended up listening to it.
Which one did you like more?
Okay, so first of all, I love Kanye. I love Drake. Phenomenal artists. My opinion is Drake or Kanye, both of them have achieved so much. They've shattered so many records. They've had the best albums.
Does it sound like you're about to dump Kanye right now? Okay.
Not even. No. They've had the best albums. I just didn't expect any, like at this stage of their career where Kanye has done literally everything. Drake has shattered literally almost every record. I wasn't looking for these. I wasn't expecting shit from these albums. Like if they were bad, I wasn't going to be mad because they already fulfilled their legacy, right? So I was just going in, just listening like, okay, like we'll see what's up. Donda had to grow on me a bit. I listened to it the first time. After hearing it now, I think it's a far superior album to CLB. As far as Certified Lover Boy, personally, I don't think it's a bad album. A lot of people are saying that, you know, Drake can't evolve and he can't change. I think what people don't realize is CLB is for the ladies, y'all.
It always has
like
been.
If he's a lover, like
That's
it's
what I
not
keep
for
saying.
me. It's not for me that it's like a casual, like a gangster. I like to listen to gangster rap like Griselda. I like to listen to like hardcore rap. It's for the lovers. It's for the people who are ready to get pregnant. So like there's so much slow songs there. Even though it's a rap album, he had a couple bangers. I'm not listening to that album for like the best album. I still think Drake is one of the greatest. But that wasn't for me. It was for his core female fans. I think people need to understand that
That's
when
Drake's
they think about CLB.
Like,
he knows the analytics. He knows the analytics.
Hard. He's not hard.
Cancer
He's
moves,
not
right?
hard.
He be talking
And
like
he's
he
the sun, Pluto,
gangster.
and
He be
Scorpio.
talking like he gangster. He's a
I
lord of the
listen to his
underworld.
songs, I'm like,
He's a lord of the
damn.
underworld. He got mob ties, but still, you know what I mean? Like,
I liked his new album. I did listen to Donda a lot. I really like, what is it, Going to Jail? I like that song. That was great. I think it's interesting that Jay-Z was on both albums.
yeah, and Kid Cudi. And Cudi, right?
So what's the deal with Pusha T?
So, okay, as far as the beef,
I'm white and I don't understand these things. So
clearly,
you have to
Drake
explain it
is
to me.
still very, you know, kind of touchy about what happened. He's trying to act like it's not that big a deal. And I just love it because it's the typical Scorpio archetype where it's just like, bitch, we grudging. Like, I'm not letting this shit go. But I think really, as entertainers, they also know that they can really shift. Like, so many people will be into their beef. I think other people care about their beef more than them. First of all, there's no beef. No one's died. No one's got shot at. It's
the
not
same
a
way
beef.
there's no beef
It's a
between
conflict, right?
Kanye and Kim when she went out for the fucking album drop. She was like
Right.
wearing like what
Exactly.
looked like a wedding gown, and people speculated whether or not they were like really breaking up or if it was just them saying we're always going to be family.
Right.
It's fucking weird, man.
So personally, the reason why I love this is it's super petty. Like, he leaked the address, and then Drake actually leaked an unreleased diss between the two. I thought they were gonna make up, but then it got riled up. So I just love it because it's typical Scorpio versus Gemini. We're gonna see more back and forths, but
then there's Lil Nas, who came out with his pregnancy announcement for his album. Wasn't that clowning on Drake?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I just love how funny
he
he like.
and now
He had titties,
First
yes.
he had titties and now he's pregnant. I had to Google it.
He's
I was
smart
like,
with
is
the
Little Nas
trolling.
really pregnant? Like, I thought he was trans for a minute, and then I realized that it was a joke.
Yeah.
But I got excited. I was like,
I
oh
thought
my God,
the
he's
titties were real. I
pregnant.
thought the titties were real at some point. I didn't really see them though.
I feel like every man would love to have his own set of tits.
Oh my God. No comment
The same
on
way
that.
I think about, like, if I had a penis for a day, I'd probably just like stand in the hallway and shake it around.
Oh
like,
my
I don't know what else
God.
I would do with it.
If you
I'd
had
play
a
with
dick,
it.
would you? Never mind. But like,
You can't make those jokes if you're transphobic.
No, I was gonna ask something so dumb, but it's all good. So
What? Ask it.
I was gonna say, if you had a dick, would you suck your own dick?
Do I have to remove a rib?
Oh, see, that's what I'm saying.
That's
like,
my
if
question.
you could. And that's even deeper.
Probably not. That's shit.
Well, I was gonna ask you, would it be gay if you were a chick?
I get crucified for that. I'm not gonna talk about what I put in my mouth. I think that's self-explanatory.
But see, would it be gay if you're a woman with it? Like, that's crazy.
If I'm a woman with a dick, if I have a dick that's attached to my body that's real, I would not put it in my mouth. That's what I would find someone else to do.
Interesting. So, okay.
But would it make you gay if you were to suck my dick? That's the question.
Oh, shit.
You're mind blown.
Yeah, all right. I sucked her dick. That's right. It's like, damn. Holy
and it's
shit.
bigger than yours.
Oh, shit. Yeah, then that would be gay. No,
Fuck. We're going to get canceled
Openly.
so quick.
Oh, shit. Nothing wrong with that. You know, it should be open. Don't stay in the closet.
Oh, my God. I'm
Nothing to be wrong. Don't be ashamed.
We're going to get crucified in the comments for this one. This has been a very
controversial one, right?
But if somebody's got to do it, it's got to be us.
Shout out to Ye. Shout out to Drake. Y'all need to make up. And the thing is, I feel like people can get so wrapped up in the beef more than them, and they'll probably...
beef is what sells. The same
way
Jay-Z or Beyonce's album Lemonade did so well, and then she brought her little bitch husband on tour with him for a year, and then he came out with his video, and now they're doing Tiffany commercials, and they're fucking loaded.
And then they did a duo album together after that, based on all that. So
you better ain't fucking cheat on me. You're gonna go on tour. You're gonna give me all your views.
It is what it is. I think we're going to see more come up. Like, some people are starting to say it's about to be the hip-hop Avengers Civil War. And there's truth to that. Ooh. So we'll see. It depends on Kanye and how he responds. And then
Kanye's got a Mars retrograde next year. He's going to get either... He really will go to jail, or he's going to go to a mental institution. I will keep saying this, that Kanye will either go off and start a cult, or he'll get...
When Jupiter goes in the 12th, right?
Institutionalized. Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna go. If you guys think you've seen crazy Kanye, wait to see next year.
You haven't seen crazy Kanye. Even when he cried during the election thing, people called it a mental breakdown, but they don't know he's a Cancer rising with the Pisces moon, so he knows how to use his tears to evoke reaction to crime. But Kim's got a Pisces moon too. Exactly.
I have a theory that they're gonna probably start making movies together or films together or kinds of weird art stuff, and they might like move to Europe together. I don't think that's done.
No, it's not done at all. It's not done at all. In fact, I was so glad to see that they were supporting each other doing that. But
that's what Libras do.
We are going to hear more of this beef. It's not over, and it's going to spice up. I don't think it's a real beef, though. But yeah.
We'll see. Hopefully you guys don't hate us after this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out the bell button so that way you can hear more of these insane podcasts as they come out. Those of you guys who are subscribing to the channel, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, consider it. It's a good idea. Check out our subscription tabs. We've got several levels.
Join our membership.
And
yesterday.
Also, if you want to book a reading with Mike or myself, check out our links below. Check out our social media. Check out my TikTok and me and my tiny mic. If you guys didn't notice.
The Psychic Police is here. The Astro Police.
I'm just calling motherfuckers out. I'm just trying to keep up with the little kids, you know? I'm just trying to... I'm not dancing. You're welcome.
No!
I'm not dancing. But I'm going to shitpost. I'm kind of here for it. I went crazy like a week or two ago and started doing that.
Go check out her Astro Police. It's legit.
All right, guys. We'll see all of you very soon. You take care.